Detective Rick Goff knows a thing or two about finding people. His job? Tracking down fugitives in criminal cases. But they don't usually involve his daughter.
Oh, no, smile.
This became a crisis in your law enforcement family, the people you worked with for 20 years.
They came out of the woodworks to help. My chief, my sheriff, all of them came down. It's just everybody.
Minutes after learning Denise had disappeared, Rick was pleading for help from everyone he could think of, including the media. Howie Grace, a friend and photojournalist for the local NBC station WBBH-TV, remembers getting a call from Rick that evening.
He was crying, and that struck me because as long as I've known him, I've never really known him to show emotion, let alone to show emotion of that magnitude. I said, "What's going on?" He says, "My daughter's been kidnapped."
On his way over to Northport to cover the story, the photographer saw firsthand what Rick meant about people coming out of the woodwork to help. Everyone, from Highway Patrol to the Marshal Service, was on the lookout for Denise.
It started the moment I got off the interstate. They were searching. They were visually, flashlights in the cars, and stopping everybody or anybody who looked suspicious.
At 6:14 p.m., the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office received a bizarre 911 call from a cell phone from someone claiming to be Denise Lee, the missing person herself. How could that be? Nate was home with his father-in-law when they got word about the call.
And Rick, I remember said something like, if kids are playing jokes, he thought it was somebody just calling in to be funny.
But that call was very real, and there was nothing funny at all about Denise's plight. Somehow she'd managed to sneak her abductor's cell phone away from him while he drove. She dialed 911. That call from a terrified Denise has been sealed by the prosecutor's office as evidence. Only a handful of people have heard her voice. Among them, her father, Detective Rick Goff.
We just wanted to verify that was her voice and made sure it was what we thought it was. And first thing was her screaming.
Does it get more awful than that to hear your child out there and you can't do anything?
Yeah. The first words is, "She's been kidnapped."
Rick says that during the phone call, Denise managed to dupe her abductor into thinking she was having a conversation with him, begging him to take her home. But in fact, all the while was passing on key information to the 911 call taker. Information like the make of the vehicle she was in, a green Camaro, which confirmed the tip police got earlier that day, and the fact that her kidnapper was a stranger to her.
She's making it seem like she's talking to him. You know, she's answering the 911 operator's questions by laying on the phone and listening to it.
Giving some sort of a description of the guy?
Yeah, and her baby's at home alone and her address. But she's giving the exact address to the 911 operator, but she's making it sound like she's talking to him. I mean, she was really smart. He never knew it until like 7 minutes into the call, then he finally figured his phone wasn't there, and he searched and found it missing.
According to police records, the kidnapper can be heard saying, "Where's the phone?" with Denise replying, "I don't know," before the call abruptly ends.
Tell me what's going on with you at that moment.
I was 100% sure that they were going to get her. You know, cell phone, well, they can track her, they can figure this out.
But it wasn't that simple. The kidnapper's phone was an inexpensive throwaway, not equipped with the kind of GPS tracking device police can usually lock onto to locate the whereabouts of a cell. The only thing police were able to get were pings from nearby cell phone towers. That meant she was somewhere in the area. They were finding haystacks, not needles. But if they couldn't find where the phone was, they could at least find out who it belonged to. From the phone number, they were able to identify the owner, one Michael Lee King. Denise's family drew a total blank on that name.
I've tried to look at this from every possible scenario and have answered every single question and dug as deep as I possibly could dig, and I've never, ever been in contact with this person, ever. And I know Denise had never been in contact with that person ever. It's just scary to think that it's something that random, somebody, he could have been following her for weeks, months.
That awful 911 call from Denise Amber Lee had given the police a major lead. But the authorities still did not know where their man and his green Camaro were.
Police emergency operator Bono, Sarasota County.
At 6:23 p.m., 9 minutes after Denise's call, the 911 board lit up again. This one was from the suspect's own family.
His cousin came over his house with a girl in the car, and she was tied up